Good evening, everyone. I'm Town Supervisor Nick D'Alessandro, and this is the January 25th, 2018 Town Board meeting. And for our Pledge of Allegiance, we have a special group of young men to give our pledge. They are the Southern Dutchess Patriots, the 12U team. They're part of the Taconic Youth Football, and they have won the championship this year. They played at Mikey Stadium at West Point against the Somers Tuskers, and they beat them 25-0. And they're led by their head coach, Bill Castaldi, and assistant coaches Craig Winters, John Mahon, Greg Vince, John Lippert, and Mike Muser. And I'm going to let them do the pledge. All right, guys, go ahead.
What? Flag of the United States of America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, guys, before you sit, I want you to stand up and say your name and what position you played.
Brian Johnson, middle linebacker. Tyler Bloomer, center. Bradley Morrison, running back.
Joseph Landy, defensive line.
Luis Garcia, cornerback.
Adam Dixon, kicker. John Lippert, right guard. Tyler Ferguson, left guard.
Anthony Castaldi, running back.
John Matthew, DN.
Kyle Winters, wide receiver.
Nasir Benjamin's right tackle.
Kevin C., running back.
Mar Martini, safety.
Chris Hutchins, defensive tackle.
Joseph Torres, DN.
Gianni Bo, defensive lineman.
Arthur Sully, tight end.
Jake Vanderoff, quarterback.
And can I get a big round of applause, everyone, for them? And Coach, congratulations on your victory. Thank you, guys. Well, Coach, I don't know if you want them to stay for this whole meeting, but they could go at any time.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, go right ahead. Excellent. Thank you guys again.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You're smart. Yo, Brad. Brad.
Hi, Janine.
Good to see you. Congrats.
Listen, I like New England in the Super Bowl.
Don't say that to Joseph.
Okay.
Well, that was a big crowd to go quick.
And there were three.
Okay. Well, with that, Carol, can we have the, I'm sorry, we'll do my announcements first before roll call. Well, since January 1st, as taking office, I have a few comments to make what I've been doing. I met with various department heads to discuss issues in their respected offices, and there's a few, but we made a few changes, minor, but I'll be having a department head meeting, which I'll discuss later. I met with several different elected officials from neighboring towns, Wappingers and Fishkill, and we discussed, brainstormed a little how we could help each other and where we could save some dollars by sharing some services. That was very productive. I also met with several business investors and developers for a couple potential sites that they're looking to develop in our town. Councilman Marinaro and I met with a few residents, with our police chief, to discuss a few local issues, and that was very productive, and they were very happy that we got to meet with them. Also, I met with our traffic engineers to discuss the possible DOT Hamlet project. that is going to be probably coming back again. I'm going to have them give the town board a presentation at our next workshop. Also, I discussed with them the Carroll Drive Bridge replacement. We're getting an 80% grant for it. The town will be on the hook for the remaining 20% for the funding of the project, and as the months, in March, actually, we will be voting on that. It's called the TIP, and that's a Traffic Improvement Program. And they do these plans years in advance, and we are lucky enough to get it, so I'll be giving more information to the board about that. Last Thursday, myself and the members of the town board attended the Chief of Police Association annual dinner. Nice event. We got to meet and talk to members of the police community in our county. You know, it's important we show them support and, you know, build the relationships with them, with our PD and others. And our Lieutenant Orsino was elected Vice President of the Chiefs Association, so congrats to him. I addressed the police department at their monthly meeting. I discussed the vision of our police department and our town. I also met with the Board of Fire Commissioners last night, and we discussed ways we can integrate the town government and fire and emergency services. I met with Conti Construction. They are the company who won the federal bid for the EPA water line for the Hopewell Precision site. They have worked with many Superfund sites all around the country, and they're focused. They're really great, actually, what they say, but they said that they're focused on helping the town with the logistics of road closures and delays, and they actually said that they work with the Army Corps on site all the time. Our engineer was with me, and they said that they actually have a community discussion group weekly where they can meet with residents who have troubles or concerns about road closures and other things to do with that project. So as that progresses, I'll give more information to the public. I'd like to thank Global Foundries. They gave a donation to Julie's Jungle. They sent a check to the town for us to give to them for $5,000. Julie's Jungle said that it's going to help so much for the purchasing of their Braille and Sign Language system boards. So thank you to them, and Julie's Jungle also, last Sunday, they held their annual Wing Fest. All the board was there. Thank you all for coming. It was a very nice event. And they were sold out, and the wings were great. And the police department, they finished implementing a LifeScan system. It's a system that links us with Dutchess County and New York State law enforcement. It's for fingerprinting and photo identification. And our local senator, State Senator Sue Serino, and Dutchess County Criminal Justice Service also gave us the grant for that. So thank you to them. In February, I'll be conducting, for starters at least, a quarterly department head meeting. I'm going to be discussing with the department heads ways for the employees to be more efficient and possibility of inter-office sharing. You know, it's just been 4 weeks. I've been here, not even, and, you know, a lot of the employees already do help out in other departments, but you know, certain departments need more help at certain times of year, and I want to make sure that a program is in place so they can help the other offices. And this will also help us when we do our budgets. And a succession plan for people. They retire, they leave, you know, and sometimes we don't have people who are here to replace them or don't know the job. So hopefully we can get people put into positions where they know multiple jobs. Also, I'll be discussing with community members soon new boards I'm going to be implementing. I've spoken to the rest of the board about this and working with them to fill them. I'm going to start with a Veterans Council, which include myself and Councilman Franco, an Economic Development Committee, include myself and Councilman Marinaro, and Emergency Services Committee to include Deputy Supervisor Pete Cassidy. So, you know, it's, I've seen that it's a busy place to work here. You know, I'm used to working a lot of hours, 12, 14 hours, but the former supervisor, he was correct. It's a demanding job, which is great. I've learned a lot of things that I didn't learn when I was a councilman. And one thing I've been stressing to my staff and to the employees is that I want to be as transparent as possible. I want people to get information. They want it. If it's not available, we'll get it to you. So if there's something you need and it's not available online, please call. We will get it for you. I've seen a lot of residents, they've come in for 100 different things already, and I think I've accommodated all of them, but, you know, to be seen. And a few things I'd like to clarify. You know, when I think about how the town is to be run and how important the budgets are and how we want to save money, I want to start off I prepared some charts here in front of the dais that I like to discuss because some council people, they've made some comments about salaries and other expenses, and it's important. So I did a little more research, and I looked into it, and help with the controller, thank you. There's, like the rest of the board, I'm here to save you money. It's your money, it's our money, and, we want to give the best possible services that we can with the least amount of cost, of course. And I just want to start on the same baseline so you, the taxpayer, know where all your dollars go. I'll explain some of the charts right in front of me. The first chart, to my right, your left, this pie represents all the property taxes you pay. As you can see, everything that you pay for school and land combined, the town's portion of that is 9% on average, depending on the school district that you live in. So we provide you with all the services of the town, the highway department, the police department, recreation, town hall, on 9% of all your dollars. And I think that's pretty impressive, actually. The second chart will show you how it's divided up. That 9% equals a third each to the police department, the highway department, town hall, and recreation. Pretty much almost about a third each. The third chart shows us our history on our spending trends. So if you see it, it's pretty flat. And as everybody knows, or you don't know, we don't like to spend money unless we have to. But government, sometimes you have to. So showing that our dollars are pretty flat, our spending is pretty flat, that shows you that if we had to make up dollars somewhere, we took it from somewhere else, because our revenues have not been so great lately, so we have to make it up somewhere else. The fourth chart, all the way to my left, your right, is probably I'm most impressed by. This shows you where we rank with surrounding towns. You see, we're almost tied for second with the lowest tax rate. But, one big reason and a huge reason is we have a top-notch police department. And I can't begin to tell you how important it is to have the full-time police department. Many people move to towns or cities just because there's a full-time police department. It's very desirable. Councilman Marinaro and I met with community members just last week, and they said, they're thankful that they have this full-time police department and that they wouldn't move anywhere without one. So if we didn't have the police department in our tax rate, we would be far the lowest. We'd probably be in the range of somewhere $1.60 per thousand. And I believe, and I think the rest of the board agrees with me, that our public safety is worth, what we pay. So when you compare East Fishkill to other towns, there really is no comparison. You get a lot for your dollar. We stretch your dollar. It's like, you go food shopping, you buy a loaf of bread. In East Fishkill, you get 2 loaves of bread almost for your dollar. So it's important that you know that. I have a few other handouts that I gave to the council people, and I will discuss that very briefly. It shows us how East Fishkill compares to surrounding towns with population and parcel counts. Parcel counts are the amount of buildings, residential and commercial in the town, and that tells you how large the town really is. And we're one of the largest in Dutchess County. We have 11,802 parcels. And it shows that we're in the mix with the other elected officials in appointed positions. I asked the controller to get me an annual savings that we incur for having an in-house engineer and attorney, 2 very important positions. On average, we save about $185,000 yearly in our engineering department, and about $69,000 yearly in our legal budget. This includes the planning and zoning boards also. And if we look at total budgets, including all different attorneys we hire to do specialty work, we have even savings from 12 or 15 years ago that I pulled the records. They were over $100,000 more than we pay now 12 or 15 years ago. So I don't even know how much those legal bills would be today. But I've also discussed this with the other elected officials that I met with, and their legal budgets are, pretty hefty. Fishkill's pretty lean, and Bob said that he's impressed at our legal budget from Fishkill. And, I was happy to hear that, because, I like to get a gauge, a barometer of how we are in spending the tax dollars. Other things that aren't reflected in those numbers with our engineer and our attorney is that some of those dollars, they're recouped through escrow accounts. So when we have projects, planning boards, zoning boards, and we need their assistance, they get paid through the escrow accounts that the people have, that they put their escrows up for their projects. So those aren't reflected, those numbers aren't reflected there. Some other savings is water and sewer. We save about $77,000 a year for the last 3 years in water and sewer. And again, if we didn't have an in-house engineer, we probably wouldn't be saving that, because there's somebody watching after the farm. He's constantly looking at different projects, not only the planning board that our engineer has to oversee in the projects, but also our highway department, constantly with our highway superintendent, looking at projects. When we're paving, checking to be sure that the paving's done correctly. All these things add up to dollars, your dollars. So it's important that we have the right people doing it. We also have incurred insurance savings, almost $1.3 million to date since 2003. And this is due to our controller. Our controller not only, he does all the finances for the town, oversees that, he also looks where to save money. He saved us dollars with those insurance. So, this is what we strive for. This is what we want to work together with the board to make it even better. And I've spoken with the board, and we know that, we have to run this town like a business. Many times I discussed with them that the town should be run like a business. And I'm sure that you've heard that plenty of times. Well, I think it has to ring true, because if this is a $20 million budget, this is a $20 million business. And, in your business, you want the best possible employees. If I had a $20 million business, I'm not looking for the, the run-of-the-mill or the rack accountant or engineer or lawyer. I want the best one. And, sometimes you pay a little bit more or a little bit less, but you want the best people you can. And I know we have good employees, and they help our town, they save money for our town, and they provide good services for all our citizens. So that's what my idea here tonight is, to show you all this, that it's on my mind. I think about it. I want to make sure that we are doing the right financial decisions for the town, and I'm going to be looking in the budget to save wherever I could. I've discussed with the council persons already. I'll discuss it at a workshop, but planning a little renovation for Town Hall is sorely needed. There's a lot of some problems here that we have to fix, and we have to fund that. How are we going to fund that? Well, I have to cut somewhere else. So I'll be discussing my plan in detail with the rest of the board soon. But I just want you to get a snapshot of where we stand, where we spend your dollars, because, us on the board, we care about you, and this is why we're here on this board. So I thank you for your time. It was a little lengthy, but I'm sorry for that. And with that, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Councilperson Marinaro,
Present.
Councilperson Franco,
Present.
Councilperson Cassidy,
Present.
Supervisor Delisandro.
Present. Okay, and the board has received the minutes from December 14, 2017, and January 11, 2018 from the clerk. Are there any changes, modifications?
We have one small change to the schedule to the town board meeting. Just to clarify, it'll be February 8th and February 22nd, so I'm just going to change that in the minutes. That's the only thing that needs to be changed.
Okay, and that was on the December 14th
Yes.
meeting, right? Okay. Any other additions, subtractions?
Nope.
No? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
As amended?
As amended, thank you.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Now we're at the part of the meeting where it is courtesy of the floor. Here we have a allotted time period for all the citizens to come up and speak whatever you have on your mind, whether it's on the agenda, whether it's on your road, whether it's on anything to do in the town. So if you can, if anybody wants to, please step up to the microphone and say your name, please.
Hi, Bill Green, Recreation Director. I just want to make a couple announcements because we've had some questions about a few things. First of all, our recreation guides are in our town. We get them out earlier than any other town, and has information on registrations on all of our events. This year, we did up the camp registration from $350 to $375, and the reason was the minimum wage went up, so our councils had to get a raise. Now, we also raised the rates at Red Wing, but we only did it for the non-residents paying. So the fees went up for a season pass for a non-resident and the gate for a non-resident. We kept the residents the same, and this will make the difference in the amount of money coming in because the lifeguards get the minimum wage increase also. I would recommend that everyone pick up a recreation guide. It saves us a lot of questions. And the reason I want to get up here too is next Thursday is our final day to get applications in for summer employment. We do it early so our directors can interview, and the kids, if they don't get a job, they have time to find another job. So if you're watching television, it's been in the paper, it's in the rec guide, get your applications in. We are short on lifeguards this year. So if you are a certified lifeguard or know a certified lifeguard, get your application in. And finally, when you do make additions to this building, if you could find a place for recreation to come back part-time, we'd be glad to help you out. Thank you.
Thank you, Recreation Director.
John Fulton. I have a quick question in regards to the executive order that Governor Cuomo put out in regards to the taxes and with our town. I brought it up previously, and I want to know if we can have an answer. I paid my payment, but I paid it online, and I got a note back, not online, I'm sorry, in the mail, and I got a note back from the assessor saying that she would not take my payment because she didn't have to, and she doesn't work for she told me she doesn't work for the governor. And did you see, is anybody familiar with the executive order that he wrote on prepaying taxes? Mm-hmm. Why can I not pay it?
Well, it's the first I'm hearing. I'll have to discuss with the tax receiver.
Okay.
As you know, she is independently elected. The board can't give her direction, but I'll certainly review it with her to see.
Right, because there's a lot, I mean, it's $1,500 out of my pocket, and there's a lot of people, so is that, so we just have to review it with her? She doesn't have to follow exactly what he said, that she has to take my, he has to take my
If you read the
payment?
governor's order, it doesn't mandate it. It gives permission in his emergency powers to all officials to be able to do that, but he can't
So
direct.
by him saying I authorized and direct to accept partial payment of taxes, doesn't mean she has to?
Correct.
So she can do whatever she wants? I'm just trying to,
No,
I'm just in my head, it's just like
Yeah.
funny, because he's saying do an order.
Currently, her interpretation of payments by mail is conflicting what occurred there. I don't, what she
Right,
did.
and he says, just so you know, purpose of all payments made in person, for purpose of payments made online, which such payments are available until the receipt of purposes and made by mail
Correct.
that are postmarked. So
I
he
know
says I
it's
can
in his
mail
order.
it.
I'll certainly review it with
Okay,
you.
all right. 'cause-
I'll also review it with her, Mr. Fulton, and also, just so everybody knows, that was a tough week, that we got this order late, and we cannot accept your taxes unless we have a certified roll from the Dutchess County, or from the county
But
of
we
Dutchess.
did, right?
So we got them on, I think, the Thursday or
Right.
Friday
Pretty close
before
to the
the
end of the
weekend.
Right, and I agree with you, and
So-
that's why he said in his order that you can also take partial payment, which the law stated that you couldn't, you had to pay in full. And I understood that, and so that's why it was the week of Christmas, and I paid before that, I mean, we were away. So, and then one other time, I'll just say, I went to her one time and I asked, can I make a payment on something? And she says, well, if you pay a day late, I'm gonna charge you 2%. So she could follow those rules, but then chooses to, you know, it's a lot of money. That's $1,500 that I can't spend in the community, and my dad can't spend, and my brother can't spend, and a lot of people can't spend. So-
I have your number, I will call
No,
you.
no problem, I
with-
appreciate your time.
No
Thank you,
problem.
guys, appreciate it, have a good night.
Thank you. Anyone else? Comments, public comments? No, Bob? Go right ahead.
On pins and needles.
All right. So I'm not really sure how you plan to run the meeting, Nick, as far as public comments?
This is
are
it.
concerned? Okay. So, you know, I brought it up in the past that you guys speak about a resolution, I think it's called a resolution, and then you vote on it. We don't really know what you guys are going to speak about until you start, you know, to do so. And so we really are not able to have any input on what you're saying, because basically all the discussion is up there. You guys pass or yes or no to the resolution, and that doesn't really include the public.
So, I understand that, but you're not voting on the resolutions, the town board is.
Yes.
So that's why we'll get your comment ahead of time. If you have a comment on authorizing the water and sewer connection fee, then you say, I have a comment on the fee because of
Right.
X, Y, and Z.
But
And
how will we know,
That might
Nick?
be changing some of our minds.
Well, that's the point that I was getting to. How will we know, or how can we be influential if we don't hear the discussion that you guys are having, for us to get up afterwards and try and be influential?
But you won't change it after the vote. So
I
we would
under-
vote, and then you would come up and talk about it, but the
No,
vote's not going to change.
I think that, you know, if you guys were to speak about it, and then give the public
And
an
then go back and
opportunity
vote?
to weigh in. I don't know. I just think, you know, for the longest time, I thought that it was, there could be a better way to do it. That way you could get input from the public.
Okay.
I don't know. And one other thing. I mean, the word courtesy
Yes.
is something that I think you can find a better word. I think that it's the people's house, that we have a right to get up and speak. And when you use the word courtesy, courtesy could be taken away in a heartbeat.
Okay.
And I just think it's a poor choice of words, even though I happen to like you.
Okay.
All right? All right.
Gotcha, Bob. Anybody else? Any discussion on resolutions or any other issues for town?
Hi, good evening, Mary Ellen Smolinski. I just want to say welcome, and so far, so good. I mean, I feel so enthusiastic in my town government now. And I want to welcome you and all the elected officials that got reelected.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to our meeting with Hillside Lake next month, and I was wondering if you wouldn't mind just announcing it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we are having a meeting with Hillside Lake, February 7th, 7 PM or 7:30? 7 PM at the Hillside Lake Firehouse. So any members, any residents who live in Hillside Lake, that's February 7th, 7 PM, Hillside Lake Firehouse. Anybody else? No? Okay. So receipt and file, anything for receipt and file, clerk?
No.
Nothing? Public hearings, no public hearings, so resolutions. First resolution is authorize water and sewer connection fees. Whereas, there have been recent inquiries about out-of-district parcel connections to the town's water and sewer systems. The town engineer has a memo to the town board with the fees for out-of-district parcels to connect to various municipal water and sewer systems. And the town board authorizes the water and sewer connection fees for the out-of-district parcels as attached here too. That the supervisor being hereby is authorized to execute agreements. So there were some concerns about projects coming into different areas of the town that have water and sewer. And the idea is that new people would come in, and there have been other parcels that have been paying taxes and benefit units for many years. And now that a new person would come in, or business or what have you, and they would get in the district for nothing. So we have said that's not fair for the people who have been paying the taxes and benefit units for many years. So we came up with a formula. So that would be a buy-in formula for the water and sewer. And could the engineer or the comptroller give us a little explanation on the formula, please?
I'll start off, and then the comptroller can help me out if I need. We have 3 sewer systems in the town, and I think we have 12 water systems. Each district has its own rate base, its own schedule of costs that have been incurred to date. We've had recent inquiries on the Hamlet sewer, possibly Four Corners sewer, possibly John Jay sewer. And as far as water, we've had inquiries into the Hamlet water and possibly Four Corners water. Each district, again, has its own structure, so the formula is not the same for each one. It's basically a formula for each district based on the costs that have been incurred to date or may be incurred for projects that are, in the pipeline right now. But again, the idea is that everyone pays their fair share, equitable amount based on the amount of usage or benefit that they're going to get. So again, depending on where you are, there's a different formula.
Okay.
And in fact, one more point, I think in Four Corners, because the rate base there is indeterminate at this point, we're just going to go with a standard out-of-district user fee of 1.25, and we'll recover the costs in that fashion, which will help offset the expenses for the existing residents in those districts. So each district was looked at individually based on, the situation it's at,
So it's what's fair.
for what's fair and equitable. And the idea is we wanted to formalize it so we couldn't get into any disputes. Here it is, if you're going to pay the same, if you're in that district as anybody else who wants to connect to that district, based on how much you're going to use.
Right, so the taxpayers have paid for the infrastructure already.
In that district.
In that district, and this will be paying them back.
Or paying into the
it, right, so they had pay their fair share, understood, okay. Mark, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, that's it. I was just going to add at the end that the buy-in fee goes to benefit the district and the district only, so.
Okay.
Either through potentially reducing costs to the existing taxpayers or setting aside monies for future development.
Okay.
Well, eventually, that should lower the user's rate, too.
Potentially, I don't want to say anything blanket.
No, but it could.
It could, or as I said, it could be, the buy-in fee could be used as a reserve
Yeah, but they're
for.
going to be paying into it, so there's going to be more money generating into it on usage,
Oh,
too,
yes,
also.
exactly. The users, more users paying into some of the fixed costs, which should spread
help.
those fixed costs out over more homes and reduce that rate. Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to authorize water and sewer connection fees?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 2, acknowledge highway appointments. Deputy Supervisor, could you read that?
Whereas the highway superintendent has interviewed and hired 1 full-time laborer and 1 full-time mechanic for the highway department, and whereas the highway department has submitted
That's,
memos to the town board.
Wrong, we got the wrong one.
That's what I gave
that's
me.
it.
Highway appointments.
Whereas the highway superintendent is interviewed and hired 2 full-time laborers for the highway, and whereas the highway superintendent has submitted memos to the town board, and now therefore it be resolved that the town board does hereby acknowledge the hiring of Brian Tucker as full-time laborer in the highway department, and Thomas J. Palladino as a full-time laborer, and be it further resolved that Brian Tucker started on January 4th, 2018, at a level 1 laborer rate. Be it further resolved, Thomas J. Palladino will begin on a date to be determined by the highway superintendent and will be paid according to respective titles as per the CESA union contract.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to acknowledge the hiring of the laborers?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Say second. I read it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, number 3, acknowledge seasonal highway wing persons. Councilman Marinaro, could you read that, please?
Whereas the Highway Department needs seasonal wingmen, and whereas it is determined that the seasonal wingman position are limited and seasonal, and whereas the highway wingmen need to be hired at this time, as well as some of rehired from previous years, with payroll references below. Do we need to read them all?
No?
Whereas all the applicants have been interviewed and recommended to the town board by the highway superintendent for the highway wingman positions, and now therefore be it resolved that the town controller be and hereby is authorized to place them on the town payroll as seasonal wingmen. And be it further resolved that said highway wingmen shall be seasonal employment, and that upon completion of their task, they shall be removed from the payroll unless further ordered by the town board.
Thank you.
And there is a whole list of names with different hourly rates on the same resolution.
Do I have a motion to acknowledge the hiring of seasonal wingmen?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, approve schedule for building, planning, zoning, rec fees. Councilman Franco.
Whereas the town board from time to time reviews all fees charged by the various departments of the town, and whereas a current fee schedule has been requested for the recreation facilities, building department, planning and zoning departments, and now therefore be it resolved that the annexed list of fees shall be established for calendar year 2018 as the fees to be charged for the use of the recreational facilities, the departmental fees for recreation facilities, building department, planning and zoning department. And be it further resolved, the town board approves the attached list of fees for 2018.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion for setting fees for 2018?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion.
Yeah, I have, where we have the fees for the Lime Kiln facility, the membership fees. We have veterans, active military. It's free for residents. I would also advise that we make it free for non-residents. There's a $30 charge. And right underneath that, veterans, active military family, I would also make that free. That's extremely important.
We discussed that, Nick. We think they should all be free.
Okay.
As in Red Wing also.
Thank you, Bill.
So Red Wing and Lime Kiln.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Bill, I need a new schedule then.
Okay, I don't know how that got in. I thought they were. We'll redo it.
Okay.
Okay, so we will amend it to say the veteran active military for non-resident is free, and then the veteran active military family for the resident is free, and also for the non-resident.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees? So then, do I have a motion to accept setting the fees for 2018 as amended?
Can I make another
Oh, yeah, sure.
suggestion? EFFD members, what is that?
East Fishkill Fire Department.
I will make that free too. They are volunteers. The least we could do is not charge them the fee.
Okay, so we will also add active East Fishkill Fire Department members, a resident, that will also be free, in addition to those other amendments.
How do they, any fire department out there? How do they classify an active fire department?
They're always active, these guys in our town. I don't think that you ever...
No, but I believe
I
the
see
fire,
them 80 years old on the road with their...
I'm not saying that, but they have different.
Social members,
they have-
yes, I understand.
They have
Well,
different level, they have many different levels there, is all I'm saying.
well, if they're a member, they're volunteering, so
Yeah.
guess that's the intent. So do I have a motion, is there any other changes Do I have a motion to accept the setting of the fees for 2018 with the amendments that we added?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 5, authorize request for proposals for alarm systems for town buildings. Deputy Supervisor, could you read that, please?
Whereas the town currently has alarm systems in all town buildings, and whereas it is a desire of the town board to advertise to request proposals from vendors to install and monitor alarms in town buildings. Now therefore be resolved that the town best interest of the town to advertise for these proposals so that there be a wider selection and competition. Be it further resolved that the supervisor be and hereby is authorized to advertise for request for proposals for alarm systems for all town buildings. Be it further resolved that said proposals shall be received, evaluated by the supervisor, and the summary report shall be provided to the town board.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to authorize requests for proposals for alarm systems?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Do we have alarm systems in our buildings at the present time?
Yes.
And how old are they?
I don't know the age, but the town hall one is very old. There's only one keypad to enter the whole building. The one over here, I don't think it works. So I called them to look at the repair, and there was a whole to-do. And then I asked about Lime Kiln and the community center, and they said, well, those are different companies. So I thought that maybe we could save a little money if we consolidate and throw a proposal out there and see what we get back.
Good idea.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 6, authorize town engineer to prepare map planning report. Councilman Franco, could you read that, please?
Whereas the town board has entered into a non-binding agreement to purchase the assets of Hopewell Services, Inc., which currently provides water services to Worley Homes, and whereas a map plan and report is required in order to form the Hopewell West Water District, and now therefore be it resolved that the town engineer be and hereby is authorized to prepare a plan and report with respect to proposed water system and improvements in the proposed Hopewell West Water District, and be it further resolved that upon completion of said plan and report, the town engineer shall submit the same to this board for further proceedings.
Thank you, Councilman. So before I ask for a motion, can you, engineer, please give us a little brief explanation of how we proceed here, starting with the map plan and report?
Yeah, basically, the map plan report is the blueprint for the creation of the new water district. It lays out the boundary, which parcels are going to be inside, included in that district. It lays out the expenses that are going to be incurred in terms of capital improvements, replacing the water source, making other improvements to the system, what that cost is going to translate on an annual basis to the residents. And I believe we're going to do at the end, a permissive for...
It'll be subject to permissive
Permissive
referendum.
referendum to actually take a vote and form that district.
Okay, so this is the first step?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Well, the first step technically, I think, was signing the
Right.
agreement.
The contract.
We have an option to buy it, which freezes the price at $100,000.
Right.
And now we
This
have
is
to
the
go
next
through this
step.
process.
Right.
Okay, so, and as we proceed, we will give notification to Worley Homes or the Hopewell West, right? What are we calling it? Hopewell West,
Well,
yes.
We're going to have a public hearing, right, at some point?
Well,
to-
definitely, we
Oh,
have to have a
definitely.
public hearing, but
So the
maybe,
map plan report gets prepared, gets filed with the town board. If you're in agreement of going forward, then you hold a public hearing. All the property owners proposed to be included are notified. It's advertised, they have the right to come in, speak. If you wish to go forward, then you adopt the resolution. They have 30 days to file petition to request a vote. If there is no petition filed, then it goes forward. The system would be acquired, and the improvements would commence in accordance with the engineer's
Map plan
report.
report.
okay, great.
And it's all at the expense of those property owners who would be receiving the service.
And if those property owners have any questions, who live in Worley Homes, please call my office at any time, 221-4303, 221-4303, and we'll get your answers to whatever questions you need. Thank you. And do I have a motion to authorize the map plan and report for Hopewell
I have
West?
one more question. So, the purchase of the system is after the whole process is completed, or do we purchase it
That's
before?
after the whole process. Right now, you just have an option that gives us through April or May to buy it for $100,000.
Okay.
So if you finish the process by then you would vote to purchase it, and the seller has already agreed to the terms of the purchase.
Thanks.
And that 100,000 goes into the basis of the map plan report, which ultimately determines what the annual fee is going to be, so that's all figured.
Okay, thank you. So do I have a motion to authorize map plan and report for Hopewell West?
So moved?
Second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 7, authorize agreements with respect to solar power. Councilman Marinaro, would you read that, please?
Whereas the East Fishkill Solar LLC has obtained approvals from both the Public Service Commission and the New York State EDA, as well as the Town Zoning Board, to construct a solar farm on property adjacent to Central Hudson Substation located on Route 82. And as part of the PSE program, a certain percentage of the output must be kept within the town, and the town can purchase said power at a cost equal to 5% less than its current electrical cost. And the rate will be fixed for a period of time, and the town controller and engineer have reviewed the same and have recommended it. And whereas the property will remain taxable, but there will be a pilot agreement for the improvements created thereon in accordance with the New York State requirements. Now therefore be it resolved that the town supervisor be and hereby is authorized to enter in an agreement to purchase solar power from East Fishkill Solar LLC and receive a discount of 5% of the power costs of the town. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor be and hereby is authorized to enter into a pilot agreement with respect to the payment of $5,200 on top of the assessed value of the real estate property for the value of the solar improvement thereon. And be it further resolved that officials of the town be and hereby are authorized to implement the intent of this resolution.
Thank you, Councilman. Mark, could you give us a little explanation on how the program works, and if we're locked in, we could get out? Could you explain that, please?
Yeah, so, and we have the experts here too, but we're agreeing to purchase a certain amount of electricity, but the way it works technically is we're paying for credits. We pay 95 cents for a credit, and then we use that to pay down our electric bill by $1. So we're committing to a certain amount of, buying a certain amount of the supply, and basically we're locking into that 5% discount.
Okay, and we could exit the agreement anytime we wish?
It provides as adjusted as to how much power we purchase from it.
Okay, so if we decide to purchase less power, we can?
Right.
Okay. And the pilot agreement, so based upon the property now and...
Well, I think what we should understand is this is a new program New York State is getting into. So first, the Public Service Commission had to approve the setup of these type of facilities. And then NYSERDA, which is the energy arm of the state of New York, is working with parties to develop these type of facilities. So the facility, in this case, is located right next to a substation. All the power will go right into the Central Hudson lines and then will be available. One concept of the program is 40% of the power generated by the solar panels should be in the community. So our purchase of it goes towards that 40%, and then it will be marketed to other consumers within the town. So because of the fact that, technically speaking, I hate to say this because it represents a company here, but the panels are movable. And so there is great debate as to whether they can be fully taxed for their value, et cetera. So NYSERDA, in establishing the program, has set up a standard pilot agreement, and the pilot payment for the solar equipment is based on the amount of its output, et cetera. So that's where that comes into play.
Okay, so we actually it works out a little bit better for the town.
Yeah.
Okay, and we get a 5-cent credit.
Right.
Okay.
And it will hopefully all be through the Central Hudson bill. So it won't, they're working on that. If the Public Service Commission gets Central Hudson to work that out, it really won't change anything for us. All of the application, the credits, et cetera, will all be done on the one utility bill.
That's great. Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to authorize agreements with respect to the solar power?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried, thank you. We have an addition. Authorizing the release of water and sewer operator. The town owns several water districts and sewer districts, in various parts of the town. It is necessary to have duly licensed operators who will monitor said systems and perform small repairs and maintenance work thereon. And the town currently has 2 operators that take care of this service. And JCO Inc. has requested to be released from their contract, and the town engineer is recommending that the second bidder from the last RFP in 2014, VRI Environmental Services, Inc., be the town's interim water and sewer operator. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in the interim, the town board does hereby authorize the water and sewer operator service agreement in the town of East Fishkill to VRI Environmental Services in Millbrook, New York, and that VRI Environmental Services, Inc. will provide the service per the 2014 RFP, and that said authorization will be subject to a new RFP that will be sent out this year in 2018. We all have the engineer's memo that describing that JCO is requesting to be released. We had a few issues with some of our systems, and Scott, you want to explain a little bit, please?
Well, we had our quarterly meeting with JCO, I think it was just last week, and we're kind of a little bit taken back, but they did make a request to be released from operating our water systems at that time. And the reason they stated is in order to maintain the systems to the standard that we want them maintained, they had to hire additional personnel, which they didn't have in their bid, and they're claiming they're losing money and they having a hardship maintaining that. And while certainly we have a contract and maybe we could hold a gun to them, the bottom line is we want an operator that's comfortable and positioned to operate our water system and sewer systems properly, that we don't want to be constantly chasing after them to get manpower there and take care of issues. So I think the timing was good before our systems or our quality deteriorated. They asked to be released. We interviewed VRI, who was the second bidder. They previously had operated the systems before JCO came on board. Their rate is still less than what they had previously charged us, so there is going to be, an increase, but we're still saving from what we used to spend back in 2014. It's still like a $36,000 a year savings. They're going to put the additional manpower on that we feel is necessary to not only meet the water quality and sanitary requirements, but also to keep our facilities in a state that they should be. We have these large assets in town and we want to maintain a certain way, so I think moving forward, VRI will have the opportunity to do that. And again, we are going to put out an RFP before the year's out. We had already discussed that.
Yes.
And we'll see where it shakes out once we do that RFP. But for the interim, we are recommending that VRI come on board and take over operations. Currently, they do operate Beekman Water and Sewer. They've already been appointed to operate the John Jay Sanitary Lift Station, so they're already working in our town.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No?
So the rest of the RFPs are going to go at when? At the end of the contract or before?
Well, we had a discussion, and in all fairness to them, they didn't want to be brought on for just a month or two, because this is an undertaking for them to staff it. So we agreed that we would give them at least 6 months, because they're going to have to make some adjustments to cover our system. We would give them at least 6 months, and then we'll put out the RFP. So before the end of the year, we'll have the RFP out, and we'll have either a new operator or possibly this one. But we told them we would at least wait 6 months.
And this is the proper procedure. We lose an operator who was the lowest bidder, and we go to the bid that we have currently enforced, and we go to the next operator, correct?
Next operator, next
Right.
bid.
It's the most appropriate, I think.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
We're good.
Okay, do I have a motion to authorize a release of the water and sewer operator?
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. That'll do it for resolutions. Any budget transfers?
Not this evening.
Tonight? No other additions. Board member comments? Councilman Marinaro, any comments? Councilman Franco?
Brief comments. I mean, we had a meeting with the police department, and I was at their monthly meeting. I'm the liaison assigned to that department. And one great comment that I want to share with the community is that I believe there were 12 cases of Narcan that was used and saved lives in the community. Was it 12 case? 11? 11. Still a great number of people that the police department was able to help in the community. We know that the opium problem is a problem in the community. I was listening to the radio before the meeting. It is becoming a national problem. New York City is having big issues. The president is talking about this. So we, as a community, and we're grateful for the police department for doing all that they can, but more needs to be done about this. I think that probably a discussion with the community and awareness program will probably make people aware that we do have a problem and we need to work together to solve this. Basically, that's what I have to report as far as the police department. Thank you for those officers that were able to save lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Deputy?
I had a meeting with was going to have a meeting with the highway department, but we got lucky and it snowed that day and he canceled. So he did care enough to go out plowing snow as opposed to staying with a regular meeting. We reset it up for Monday, so look for snow on Monday.
Tuesdays.
But if you get any, no, the meeting's on Monday. So the storm's coming in early. But if you've got any, I really haven't heard any bad news. And Mother Nature's been actually treating us pretty good this year. A little chilly, but not too bad.
Very good. Councilman?
Recreation is going fine. It's sort of the quiet time right now. Our basketball leagues are in full swing. Looking forward to the spring, getting the kids outside and playing. I want to thank the supervisor for naming me chair of the Veterans Committee. I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to reach out to our friends at the Manny Bacon Post, some of our friends over here, and some others that we know as well. So we're looking forward to that.
Thank you. And, well, I had enough comments in the beginning, so I want to thank everybody for the well wishes. I've had a lot of calls into Town Hall, and I appreciate them all. Thank you very much. And like I said, if anybody needs to get in contact or need information, please call my office, 221-4303, and we'll hopefully be diligent to get you whatever you need. With that, our next town board meeting is February 8th. That's our workshop. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Have a good night.